Hey, this is Candace from BGG. I am at SPIEL Essen 2024 at the Mindclash Games booth with Allan Kirkeby, checking out Revenant, which is an upcoming release from Mindclash Games set in the world of Voidfall that I've been really curious about. How's it going today, Allan?
It's going great. I'm looking forward to tell you about the game.
Awesome. I mean, this looks super cool already, but yeah, can you give me an overview of how it works?
Yeah, so basically it's a worker placement game where each player has 3 workers, a captain and 2 cadets. And there's a captain in the fleet of humans trying to escape the Voidborn. And every turn you basically take an action on one of the ships and get resources, for example, what's on one of these action spaces. And secondly, you get, for example, to play a card. You have these cards, and with your resources, you play them on your board. If it's an equipment, you can install them on your ship. And then it's the next player, and that's basically how the game plays.
Okay.
So the backstory is obviously based in the Voidfall universe. So like the previous games from Mindclash Games. And the story here is right after the Voidfall, right after the great enemy broke through, a fleet, a coalition of the great houses have gathered their ships. So 7 different houses are here on the board. And they are trying to escape with this big flagship called the Revenant.
Oh, that's
right?
cool.
Yeah, and it has secret information that might save humanity.
Ooh.
So everyone needs to escape with that. But every captain is very ambitious.
Okay.
And they want to kind of promote themselves into the highest position. You don't know, maybe they become the admiral if they win, right?
Yeah.
So it's all about fighting for power and allegiances in here. So every time you take one of the actions on the ships, so each of the ships has an insignia that kind of shows the house. So the house insignia, and then you gain influence with that house. And all of that is tracked on the point track over here, where the amount of influence is then at the end of the game multiplied by the power and the amount of ships left in the fleet. So for example, if the green player here has 3 influence and there are 2 ships in the fleet, that will be 6 points at the end of the game.
Gotcha.
Yeah? So that means ships can be destroyed. So players will be trying to protect the ships that they have gained influence with.
Oh, neat.
But you can also build ships. So if you build a ship with that faction, it increases in power to 3. And
Nice.
now this point is no longer 6.
9.
It's 9, yeah.
Awesome.
So that's great.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
And how are these like action spaces set up? Is there, are these always here, or is there like some variability with the setup?
So the fleet consists of different types of ships. Of course, we have the Revenant, and then we have these bigger ones called arc ships. So they are kind of tied into a flight pattern, so they cannot move around.
Gotcha.
But they are randomly positioned in the beginning, right?
Gotcha.
But then we have the smaller ships. We have these 2 types of ships. We have a fighter and we have a drop ship. And drop ships, the action on the fighter is it can fly to a zone, so they can move. And it can shoot the small ones, which are the enemies, which are the Voidborn. And the drop ships can land on planets. And the planets are also action spaces, and they are also randomly drawn from the action deck. So that means it's going to have like a diverse range of actions on the planets, but the same actions on the ships.
Cool. And what would you say sets Revenant apart from like other space games, like big epic space games?
I think it's it's a worker placement game. So people who like to kind of build their own story and to kind of set up their own board will be very happy. But there is also a lot of interaction, but it's kind of indirect. You're not shooting at other people, but you're trying to kind of grow your own power and kind of maybe manipulate a little bit with where the other ships are located and where the enemies will spawn next time, right?
Very cool.
And there's also, it's not co-op, but sometimes players will be overwhelmed because these ones are called rifts, right? So they spawn additional enemies,
Cool.
and the fleet can jump using the Revenant to a new solar system, and there they will get new planets. But if they do not jump, a lot of these new enemies will spawn, and the fleet will get overwhelmed. So players will suddenly have this feeling that maybe we need to collaborate to survive. Of course, they don't need to collaborate.
Right.
Yeah.
Very cool. And this is going to be crowdfunded later this year?
Yeah, it's going to launch on 19th of November. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I'm certainly looking forward to it because this is like a pre-production or prototype that looks
super stoked.
fantastic
I saw this
already.
The first time coming to Essen. I hadn't seen the print yet.
Yeah.
We had been working on other prototypes, so I'm very impressed with what Mindclash has done with this.
Yeah.
It's kind of my baby. I started in 2020 working on it, right?
Awesome.
And now I'm seeing this come to fruition. So as a designer, it's really interesting, yeah.
Awesome. And Ian O'Toole's doing the art and everything,
Yeah,
so it's like
beautiful, right? I mean, the cover is awesome, man.
It's gorgeous already, and this is not even the finished product.
I love it.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much, Allan. Appreciate the overview of Revenant coming to crowdfunding in November 2024.